So we spend most of our adult life at work, so our work impacts who we are. Our personal self and our social self are co-constructed. So I'm interested in the relationships among individuals and how people create meanings and social relations, which is a symbolic interactions perspective, as well as the processes through which people construct and negotiate these meanings and identities. The constructions and negotiations of identities occur when there is a discrepancy in the coherence of the self that is significant enough to create a tension that needs to be addressed. In certain organizational contexts, the demands of the occupation are so strong and overwhelming that they invade the personal sphere and merge with it. So this tension represents the constant adjustment and evolution of our identity. This process is called identity work, and it has been defined as the activities individuals engage in to create, present, sustain personal identities that are coherent with their conception of who they are. It involves different mechanisms such as forming, repairing, maintaining, strengthening or revising the constructions that produce coherence and distinctiveness. A great majority of the studies on identity work apprehends and explain the phenomenon within a narrative, ideational or individual perspective. And I investigated a complementary approach that focused on an embodied, corporeal and collective aspect of identity work. This corporeal and in-group perspective was revealed and enabled thanks to an in-depth ethnography that lasted more than a year. There were several challenges in this ethnography. First, access to the field was problematic. The setting investigated was the French police force. Therefore, it involved legal, safety and confidentiality issues. Second, the field is being known for its cohesive and secrecy environment, which makes it difficult to be integrated for someone external to the police institution. Furthermore, the ethnography took place at a moment when this institution undergone several institutional transformation and scandals, when its occupational members were and are still on the front stage because of terrorism issues, in a context of financial and social crisis that makes society more controversial and physically and symbolically more violent. So police officers constitute an interesting setting as the personal and the professional identities merge. Most of my informants confessed that they did not distinguish between who they were as police officer and who they were as a person. What they do is who they are. So in extreme cases, such as this one, this particular occupational environment intensifies and magnifies processes and mechanisms at work. The nature and the strategies of identity work police officers are engaged in were revealed through the embodied experience of the field, which is part of the inductive process of qualitative research. The body appeared as a working tool and crucible of identity, and also as a manifestation of resisting strategy, particularly in an organizational setting that involves physical engagement, taint, and risk-taking. We identified several mechanisms that we categorize in 4 parts. So the first mechanism is fitness. The police officers that we followed spent at least 2 hours almost every day practicing sports and taking care of their body. That is an essential component of their work in the field. So sports convey the values of competition and discipline that appear to be important components of the identity of police officers. The second point is cleanliness. The work of police officers often involves working with tainted material. It can be social, physical, or moral taint, and to counterbalance this environment, we noticed that they were particularly attentive to cleanliness, whether it concerned their appearance or the space of their offices that they appropriated to themselves. So cleanliness appeared as very important in terms of identity, as it helped to distantiate from the taint associated with their work. The third category that we identified is toughness. So beyond this fit, the good cop is supposed to endure difficult situations. He or she can stay in a car for hours under the sun with no air conditioning to remain concealed during surveillance missions. He or she can work for several days in a row if the investigation requires it, etc. So there is some kind of badge of honor to be able to put up with this kind of work environments that only the real cop can handle. The fourth category, we call it intimidation. So the relation of power between the police officer and the suspect is very often palpable. The physical confrontation during the arrest is unavoidable, but this corporeal tension remains present during every interaction. Being able and willing to engage in a physical response if needed is part of the identity of the police officers. They consider themselves as the guarantors of the public order and the only allies of the victims. Therefore, we can say that police officers live their work and also who they are in their flesh and in their guts. So at the moment, in the French police, there are two work ethos that are opposed to each other. One is the preferred work ethos of the police officers, which involve field work, action, adrenaline, risk-taking, etc. And the other work ethos, that is the one that is more imposed by the hierarchy, the police hierarchy, is a more clerical work ethos, which includes more paperwork, less field work, and that turns police investigators into what some scholars called courtroom evidence managers. So this discrepancy creates identity tensions that are addressed through coping mechanisms at the collective level. Identity tensions appeared at the friction point between the two work ethos, and we identify four tensions that we labeled scrutinization, slowing down, sanitization, and depersonalization. For instance, slowing down is the fact that the legal system is becoming heavier and heavier in terms of paper to provide, which slows down the work of investigators, plus the saturation of the system, which leads to delay in the arrest of suspects. It used to be a hot activity and it's becoming a cold activity. There's also a tension that emerges from the perception that their work is being depersonalized and demasculinized. There is some kind of demythification, some kind of draining out of the exciting part of the work. So less work in the field, less risk-taking activities, so less opportunity to test their values and courage, and also the loss of their expertise somehow. So to cope with these identity tensions, police officers develop strategies that are sustained at the collective level. We identified two main resisting strategies. The first one is the maintaining of autonomy and movement as an essential component of their identity. They try to maintain their threatened identity through sport and intra-group practices, such as specific trainings, exclusive recruitments of members of the squad, etc. The second strategy is the maintaining of emotional and mythical substance. So in creating, for instance, the perception of a binary world with heroes and villains. To conclude, police officers devise strategies to remind themselves of the sacred, symbolic, and operational physical dimension of their work. They don't engage in confrontational resistance, but it is a deeply rooted dissent, implicitly questioning the validity of the new work ethos. Identity work is a resisting process that is not intending to transform the power structures, but to help work ethos to survive despite the change. To succeed in identity transformation and maintenance, understanding the everyday physical experiences at work is crucial, and the ritualistic constructs elaborated by police officers are central to this achievement.